Good morning, guys. Happy Friday. Let's take a look at today's lesson. 327, divide a segment. Our do now today. What is an equation of a line which passes through 6, 9 and is perpendicular to the line whose equation is 4x minus 6y equals 15? Alright, remember from yesterday's lesson, you could just throw this into GeoGebra. It's a multiple choice question, but there are times we'll definitely need the algebraic skills. So we'll look at how to solve it using algebra here. Alright, so initially your equation is 4x minus 6y equals 15. Remember, it's all about slope, so we need to find the slope. AKA, let's get our equation into slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. We'll start by subtracting 4x on both sides. On the left, we're left with negative 6y equals 2. Write your x term first, negative 4x plus that 15. And now we'll divide by that negative 6y in front of the y there. Okay, and I think this is where some of us struggled with the delta math assignment. Alright, because simplifying from here is a little tricky if you're not careful with your signs and your fractions and all that. Alright, but negative 6 over negative 6. Alright, that will cancel out. And we're left with y is equal to negative 4 over negative 6. First off, that'll end up positive. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. Alright, and that fraction of 4 over 6, okay, that simplifies to 2/3. Okay, so we have 2/3 x. Alright, and then we have 15 divided by negative 6. That'll be negative, so it'll be subtraction. Okay, now it's different signs. Okay, and then you think to yourself, 15 over 6, what would that simplify to? Alright, so think for a second. Alright, and that would be 5 over 2. Okay. Now a major big idea here, guys, our slope for the initial line is equal to 2/3. Our perpendicular slope to that, remember, is the opposite reciprocal. Alright, so flip the fraction and change the sign. That would be negative 3 over 2. This is where we should think about, alright, what answer choices can we eliminate? Alright, so you can see choices 2 and 4 don't have that slope. Alright, so guys, now this is where we typically would take the point 6, 9 that they gave us, alright, and we would substitute into our equation, right? For y, we would end up putting 9. Okay, for x, we would end up putting 6. We would solve. We would find a new y-intercept. But if you notice about your answer choices, okay, they're in point-slope form, all right, which we haven't talked about too much. Okay, but if you check your notes, you'll see point-slope form is y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. So essentially, if they give you a point, and you know, like a point like 6, 9, okay, and you know the slope that we need of negative 3 over 2, you're essentially just changing the signs, okay, of that point. Okay, so it'd be y minus 9 is equal to that slope times x minus 6. Okay, so you essentially just change the signs of the point. All right, you can look back at that lesson of point slope. Okay, this one's actually a little bit easier. You just have to remember the equation for point-slope form. Alright, so we would end up with choice 1. Alright, and you could check that in GeoGebra if you'd like, which would be good to see. Our lesson, dividing a segment. How can we divide a segment into a given ratio? Okay, so your problems will look something like so. In the diagram below, AC has endpoints with coordinates A, negative 5, 2, and C, 4, negative 10. If B is a point on AC, and the ratio, look at that notation there, and the ratio of AB to BC is 1 to 2, what are the coordinates of B? So B is somewhere on this line. It could be, it could be here, it could be here. All right, somewhere on the line. It has to be split. All right, it has to split the segment into a 1 to 2 ratio. Okay, and when you see 1 to 2, all right, it's sort of think about from left to right, we should see, in total, we should see 3 pieces. All right, we need to break up our segment into 3 total pieces, because one piece to 2, okay? But 3 total pieces, we have 1 section of it, okay? And then we have another section of it that's double the length. All right, 1 to 2 ratio. So, how that starts, okay? You want to start by finding your slope of the segment, all right? With a lot of this equation, coordinate grid stuff, the slope is very, very useful to you, okay? Now, you might find the slope like from A to B, where you're counting down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so down 12, and then write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so you might see that that slope of AC is equal to negative 12 over 9. Okay, but what we really need is this slope to be simplified. All right, and then when you counted your slope, you might have found the simplified slope, which is great. All right, but if you find the overall from literally point A all the way to point C, just make sure you simplify it at the end. Okay, so another simplifying example, just like we had to do with the fractions in the do now. Okay, so our slope simplified would be negative 4 over 3. Now there's no opposite reciprocals here, guys. No opposite reciprocals. We're not finding any perpendicular line. All right, we're just going to see how we're going to use the slope. Essentially, you use the simplified slope to break up the segment, okay, into a certain amount of pieces. And you're going to see when we do that, it gets broken up into 3 pieces total, okay, because 1 to 2, that's 3 total pieces. So down 1, 2, 3, 4, write 3, make a point. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, write 3, make a point. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, write 1, 2, 3, make a point. So you can see we have 1, 2, 3 pieces in total, which is perfect because we need 3 pieces. Now we need a ratio of 1 to 2. So now you have to think about which point, right? Which of these points, where should that coordinate for B be to break that segment up accordingly so that it's 1 to 2. All right, when you see these problems, all right, when you decide where the point is, you always want to start on the point that's to the left, all right, and go left to right, just like you would read a sentence. Okay, left to right, so start at A, okay, and basically go 1 section's worth, okay, because it's 1 to 2, so you're going to go 1 section's worth, and that'll leave 2 other pieces. So once again, this is 1, 2, 3 pieces in total, okay. So if we start from A, right, and we go 1 section, it'll be this point here. Okay, that will be your point, your coordinate for B. Because once again, all right, if I'm going to break this up, okay, this would be worth 1 section, and from that point that we found for B, from here to C, that would be 2 sections worth. So yeah, that's our 1 to 2 ratio. Okay. So that would be which answer choice? Choice 1. Okay. They'll always go simplified slope, break up the segment into a certain amount of pieces. Ideally, that amount of pieces will be the total for the ratio, 1 to 2, so 3 total pieces. Count left to right, all right, and you should see which point breaks the segment up accordingly. All right, left to right is very important. I see a lot of times students go right to left, all right, and they end up with picking this coordinate here that I just circled in green. Okay, that's not quite the point that we're looking for, or we want to go left to right. Okay, let's look at another example. The coordinates of the endpoints of AB are A, -6, -5, and B, 4, 0. Point P is on AB. Determine and state the coordinates of point P, so some random point on the line, such that the ratio of AP to PB is 2 to 3. the use of the set of axes below is optional. Whenever they say that, you really shouldn't even think about it as optional. The grid is going to help you. All right. So in this one, they didn't give us the segment. They might not even give you a graph. But remember, you have graph paper in the back of your Regents booklet, and you also have a graph in GeoGebra. Okay. It's a little bit easier by hand. Okay, so we're going to use a graph right here. So A is -6, -5. Let's graph that point. Okay, and B for 0. Be as careful as you can making this line. So let me make sure I label AB. Make that line as straight as you possibly can. Okay. So our slope of AB is equal to, let's count, start left and go to the right, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so up 5, right 10. So that's how we get all the way from A to B. Remember, we want to simplify it and then break it up with that simplified slope. Okay, so our slope of AB, you simplify that fraction, would be 1 over 2. And now use that to break up the segment. So from A, we're going to go up 1, right 2, make a point. Okay, and let's take a look at how many pieces we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Now think to yourself, is that good? Is 5 the number we want? The answer is yes. The ratio is 2 to 3. So think of that as 5 total sections. Now we got to figure out which one of these points breaks it up so that it's 2 sections and 3 sections. Okay, 2 sections on the left and 3 sections on the right. Okay, so that point. Okay, so just start from the left, go 1, 2 sections worth, and that's the point we want right here. Okay, that is point P. They said that's the point that we're breaking at, point P. Okay, because it's 2 sections there. All right, and then 1, 2, 3 sections on the right. So 2 to 3 ratio. Make sure you state the coordinates. Okay, you could lose a point for something silly. All right, point P is -1, 2, -1, 2, 3. All right. All right. So take a look at examples 2, 3, and then there's a challenge that I'm going to start with you real quickly here. Okay, but it's pretty straightforward as long as you make sure you're going from left to right. Okay, and you're using the simplified slope. And remember, that simplified slope is breaking up the segment into a certain amount of pieces. That amount of pieces, okay, should be the total amount you have in your ratio. Remember, think about a 2 to 3 ratio as 2 pieces to 3 pieces, and that's 5 total pieces. Okay. The thing with the challenge question here, okay, they give you a ratio of 1 to 2, and then point Q is -9, 8. Point S is 9, -4. Okay. Your slope for QS, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay. Down 12, write 18. Okay, which make sure we simplify. Okay, so negative 2/3. Alright, now we're going to break that segment up accordingly. Down 2, write 3. Down 2, write 3. Okay. So now we have 1 to 2, right? Ratio 1 to 2. That's 3 total sections. However, we just broke it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. Okay, 6 sections total. However, we wanted 3. Okay, so I got you started on this one. I want you to think about what point would be appropriate. The answer is going to be in the content library later. Okay, so make sure you take a look at that. Message me on Remind. Have a wonderful weekend. All right, and I'll see you on Monday.